I was hesitant at first to talk about this. I know that some of you are probably wondering how I made over $350,000 in less than 40 days. I'm just going to tell you about what I did to achieve this feat, the strategies, the mindset shift that I have to take, the type of clients that I worked with. It may work for some of you, but I promise you're going to walk away with some real insights and some tips on what you can do. If you guys don't know me, my name is Melissa McClary Davis, and I run a marketing agency. And I love giving marketing tips on this channel. There's 3 core reasons how this happened. And I'm going to dive into each one of those. Let's talk about the first one, client strategies. This is huge. I talk about it all the time. I know some of you hate networking. You avoid events. You hate small talk. But you've got to figure this out. When I was young, my dad would say to me, it's great that you could read the Wall Street Journal, but it's better if you could read People magazine. Why did he say that? Because People magazine is all about pop culture, things that are happening, trends that are happening now. It gives you something to talk about when you're talking with other people. If you could know what's going on in People magazine at that time, you could talk about anything to anybody. And that's what networking is about. It's finding those points to connect. When I was growing up, I read People magazine cover to cover every week because when you walk into a room, you want to be able to jump into conversations about music and movies and local events and even politics these days. And networking isn't just for formal events. It's basically for everyday life. I recently had to drop my car off to my mechanic, and I dropped it off the night before so I didn't have to deal with it. And I took an Uber back to my place. On that Uber ride back, a woman, she had a Mercedes. And so I struck up a conversation with her. She's an Uber driver and she has a Mercedes. And so we started talking about it. And she mentioned how she has tons of investment property. And she was looking at property in a neighborhood that I grew up in and in a neighborhood that I was actually looking at too. And we just started talking and boom, I gave her my information if she needed some help from a marketing standpoint. Then the following day when my car was ready, I took another Uber drive back to my mechanic. And on the way back, I was in the car with a young man who was interested in starting a mobile detailing business for his cars. And so we struck up a conversation. I mentioned things that I do in marketing and he was like, what should I do? And of course that led to one more conversation. And of course he took my information, which led him to join my community, Marketing Therapy Lab. And here's my quick announcement. It'll be in the link below. Join Marketing Therapy Lab. And we have these discussions about what you can do in marketing and how to help you, especially when you're on a budget. And if you don't have anything to talk about, this is where you just stand on your platform and then you share some information about yourself. We do it so naturally all the time that sometimes we forget it's part of networking. You can share your favorite book, a movie that you just saw, something that lights you up. And that's how you really start building relationships. So networking is one of the first things you do. Once you continue with that networking, that's going to lead to finding out about opportunities. Second thing from a client strategy standpoint, visibility and being known. I launched my agency. Nobody knew me. I didn't have a marketing budget to let people know that I got my agency. I'm coming out of corporate. But what I had to do was that I went to a lot of small business events. I got involved in the community, the small business community, and went to pretty much any and every event that I could, whether, free. And then I strategically decided which events to go to that cost money. I had my mentor, and my mentor told me to get involved with certain people. And I made sure at those events I was strategic in terms of what I wanted to accomplish at these events. If I wanted to talk to the event organizer, if I wanted to talk to the speaker who was at the event, to let them know who I am and what I am doing. And then show up at events that they're going to possibly be at next week. So I was very intentional. The way I dressed, the way I carried myself, I wanted to be seen and remembered. I didn't want to go in there and look like the 10 other businesses are there. And I say this for all my corporate girlies out there. When you are jumping out of corporate, and you are doing your own business, whether it's something that you've done in corporate in the past, or if you're doing something new and creative, please change up your wardrobe a bit. Just do, the corporate look may work for some of those of you who have a lot of corporate clients. But if you are looking to talk to people like in small business or even mid-market or franchises or individual coaches, change it up a little bit so you could be memorable. So that's just a quick little commercial. And then third, in terms of this client strategies, that I had irresistible offers. I worked with the city of Detroit, and the city of Detroit, as a vendor for the city of Detroit, they had a huge directory. I wasn't the only marketing person in that directory. It was huge providers for entrepreneurs that I did this with. And guess what? That directory was listed alphabetically. And my business, Wise Digital Marketing, start with a W. So I'm at the bottom of the list. So what can you do to try to get people to look at you? the entrepreneurs would go through the directory, and this is the preferred providers that they could use. So I had to make myself known. They still chose me, even though I was at the bottom of the list. And I'm sure that there's some that probably never knew I existed, because what I offered in my services, because my service packages were across the board, which I still do to this day. I do social media. I do websites. I buy ads. That's my bread and butter. That's what I love to do the most. I do branding. I even do SEO. And I have done all these things in my past life. And when you have your own business, does it mean that you want to do everything in marketing? No, there's certain areas I don't want to do. As a matter of fact, websites, I stopped doing websites a long time ago. That's where I usually started. And then I just put it off to the side. I just didn't want to deal with websites anymore. I'd rather work on driving people to, as opposed to helping them with the website. But I found that a lot of my clients that I was working with, I would drive them to a dirty house. The website was just not up to par. And that made me look not that great, because I got people there, but nobody would convert. So I brought websites back in. And with this type of work, I said, okay, I knew how to do it. It hasn't changed too much. I knew that I just needed to get back into it as well. So I also knew who my audience was as well. When you're going after a certain client and you know you're working with a certain number of entrepreneurs, know your audience. This was small businesses in the city. I grew up in the city. I know that they needed help. I know that a lot of them did not have big budgets. I know that there's a group of them who hated marketing, and there's a group of them who were overwhelmed with it, as well as with other aspects of their business. I created stepping stones for them. So when I offered my services, I productized them and I made it a menu so they could pick and choose what will work for them. And then I worked with them on priority for that. So number one was client strategies, making sure that you network really well, that you're visible, people know you, and then you have the offers that were irresistible from a standpoint. So they needed to be priced right. The second big strategy bucket that I did was marketing strategies. I'm a marketer, right? So even before the opportunity, be ready for it. The whole idea of stay ready so you don't have to get ready, I believe in that wholeheartedly. And I tell you that as well. Don't wait until the opportunity hits for you to get your stuff together. You need to be ready. You don't need to be scrambling. And what does it mean to be ready? Your website that you have needs to be done, and it needs to be quick. And you need to make sure that people could find out exactly who you are and what you do. And when you are working with large entities, especially city government or the city, you need to have certain things on your website for compliance purposes. So you need to make sure you have all that. You need to have your phone system needs to work, whether it's your phone, how can people reach you, your invoicing. I'm a service provider. So those are my service providers, folks out there, your proposals and templates, all those needs to be done and quick. You need to make sure you can turn those proposals around relatively quickly. Use proposal engines. I used a few. I used Honeybook. I do a lot with Honeybook because it was very seamless. Loved Honeybook. My site and everything is done in Go High Level. I love Go High Level. I could tell you about it. There'll be a link in the description below too, if you're interested, but was able to turn things down and make sure those are all done. When you're doing this type of work, to do this in 40 days, you got to be quick. Got to be able to turn things around. So my proposal writing, I turned those around in 12 to 24 hours. So everybody, when I had the call with them, they got the proposal, what they wanted to do, the scope of work within 12 to 24 hours. That was critical. And then my calendar was open. They were able to just schedule time with me. I had open times on my calendar. Even as I was servicing and working with other clients, I had open times to take on these calls. I even set up evening times because I knew who I was targeting. And I knew some of these entrepreneurs may work a 9 to 5. And so they're a 5 to 9 type of person. So I left a couple of days where I took evening proposals. And I knew that it was a matter of time. So I wanted to make sure that I created a sense of urgency about that. So when the wave of business came, I didn't try to pause to figure this out. I had my marketing pantry stocked. And if you watched any of my videos or in my group, you know what I mean by a marketing pantry. All the things, all the staples that you need to have in your marketing are ready to go before you do any type of huge investment or huge project or effort. The second marketing strategy I had was speed and flexibility. I didn't have a 20-person team ready for this, but I had the flexibility to find that. What I had, most importantly, was relationships. Because I networked. See how it all comes back? I knew who to call. I was able to pull a team together. I've worked on a variety of different projects similar to what I did with these clients. So that was pretty easy, pulling the people I need to have in place together. I had folks who could help me with this and set them up so they could be a part of this. I stayed flexible. You don't necessarily need to bring in real employees. You could do 1099. That's what I did. I was flexible. I opened my calendar for evening calls. I moved fast because I wanted to serve these businesses because I knew that I could. I knew that I could help them. So how can I serve them? And then thirdly, for marketing strategy, I just built on my own experiences. I've been doing marketing, especially digital marketing, for the last 25 years. I'm an OG. I used to tell clients that the internet wasn't going away. Now I'm telling clients to jump on AI. It's the same sort of interesting pivotal moment when it comes to technology. Because I've worked with so many different businesses and industries, even if whatever type of business that they had, and I hadn't worked with them, I knew the marketing fundamentals. I knew some of the things that would work with most industries out there. And that foundation will let you serve your people better, let you serve more people very confidently, especially doing something that you are very confident with. You've done it. You've had success at it. So there was no issues there. I wasn't struggling with that at all, with that. And the third strategy, which I think is the most important, is mindset. You have to have a good mindset. And it starts with one, a service-minded heart. My mindset through this whole thing was very simple. I wanted to help as many businesses as I feasibly could. Even if someone only had an Instagram page, they didn't even have a website yet, they had a business, I wanted to help. And I started my own agency because I wanted to be able to pick my clients. Now I had a series of clients that were coming to me, and I was able to pick them. Now, trust me, in those 40 days, there were some that I didn't want to touch with a 4-foot pole. I was cordial, and it just wasn't a good fit. So not all clients were a good fit. And I made sure that I kept that real with them. And so I wanted to serve the clients that were a good fit for me. So a client that I knew that I was going to be experiencing with over the next 3 to 6 months. And so I wanted to help them. I knew I could help them because I believed I could, and I did. And because this program had a set budget, I knew I couldn't do much more. And that's also something to understand with it. But I still partner with the city. And I do partner with other incubators to help small businesses grow. I worked with the city. I established those relationships with the city. That is one of the main reasons why I started the business. So think about that, especially if you are supporting B2B businesses, or if your clients are in a community that is getting their support from an incubator or things like that. But a service part is critical. I just really wanted to serve and help out businesses that I knew could give these owners a sense of relief when it came to marketing. So marketing relief. Also, own your expertise. Look, I know sometimes we get imposter syndrome. I get it. I know other people get it too. Even if you spent your years honing your skills, you may still get it. But see, own that. Own the imposter syndrome. It's just don't wallow in it. When people tell you you're good at what you do, just accept it. Say thank you. Thank God for it. Own it. And then deliver, because you've done it before and you can do it again. Deliver what you do and do it well. Because all these opportunities that you're working with different businesses or you interact with a customer, give them the experience that you bring to the table and own that. So if you want to go deeper into understanding how I made $350,000 and how you can do it too, join my community. It's free. It's a free community. The link is in the description below. Subscribe to the channel. Like it if you like this type of content, and put them in the comments. And I'm going to go through the comments and determine, okay, here's what people really want to hone in on. How did I do this in 40 days? And if you want to work with me more one-on-one, join my community. That's in the link below I mentioned before. And you can book some time with me as well. And I can help you create a business where you can definitely make well into the mid-6 figures. Thank you for listening. Now go make your marketing move your money.